Broadcasting live from SETI Alpha 6 in the Andromeda Galaxy, this is Mr. C.
Eighth graders, happy Aloha Monday. Wait a minute, Mr. C. You can't wear an Aloha shirt today. You know what I'm thinking about doing this week? Because it's the week right before Thanksgiving break. The whole week we get off next week. I'm thinking I'm going to start celebrating already with one Aloha shirt each day. So look for that, all right? So anyway, it's legal. It's legal. I checked. It's legal. So anyway, well, I've got lots of good news for you today. Just heaps of good news, as they say down in Australia. First, have you noticed anything? Have you noticed how your skin is kind of drying out? I've got a couple of places that are cracking. My lips are drying out. What's going on? The humidity is, it's very dry right now. Very dry. And sometimes before we get, quote unquote, a rainy season, which usually picks up in December, January, February, March, we usually get, eight to maybe a dozen storms where we can get some precipitation. Rain down here in the valley, snow in the high country. So remember, we want lots of snow in the high country. So keep praying for wet systems. We need wet systems to roll through Arizona and dump a lot of snow in the high country, because that melts and then runs down, remember, the Verde River and the Salt River into our storage lakes, like it did last year a lot, starting in November. And we just missed a wet storm last week, I think. So it looked like we were going to get quite a bit of snow in the high country, and then it ended up going north. So we need the jet stream, which is the high altitude layer or band of fast moving air to steer storms over Arizona. They're called steering winds because they literally steer blobs of moisture over Arizona. So anyway, Lord, please, I'm actually praying, please bring a number of wet storms our way. In fact, Lord, I'm asking you to bring us a dozen wet storms or more like you did last year. Thank you for last year's precipitation. Amen. So anyway, that was a real prayer. I was very sincere about all of that. So anyway, I've got lots of good news today. So here's the first bit of good news. My goal over we actually have like 5 weeks of school left before finals week. So we've got this week, we've got Thanksgiving week, then we have 2 weeks after Thanksgiving week, and then finals week. So 5 weeks left of school, if I'm calculating correctly, and I think I am. So anyway, here's my goal over the next 5 weeks: to make you successful. That's my goal. Now, if you'll cooperate with me, and if you'll take my advice, I will make you from this point on, but it's up to you. I can't do it for you. I will help you from this point on get an A or B. From right now, November 16th, up until December, whatever it is, 17th, 18th, when we start Christmas break, I'll make you successful if you do what I suggest. Now, if you go, nah, I don't want to do any of that, okay, it's up to you. So, but you can't say, well, Mr. C didn't really help us. I'm trying. I want to help you. I want you to do well. So, anyway, so here's the deal, okay? More good news. Some of you are going to hear this and go, wait a minute, that's not good news. Yes, it is. Let me explain. Friday, you have a test. I didn't think that was good news. But some of you positive perspective students are going, that's good news. That's good news. because it's an opportunity to get heaps of points in the grade book and raise your average. So, excuse me, pretty dusty out there today, and I was outside breathing in some of that dust. Remember I said it's pretty dry right now. Okay? So anyway, back to the test on Friday. Well, what's it on? I'm gonna be telling you. But you will get an A or B on this test. You are going to have to decide, I don't want an A or B. And then you're going to have to make another decision. I'm not going to study for it at all. I'm not going to triple R at all. So, not going to. Okay. Wing it. Cram for it. My hypothesis is, though, you will not get an A or B if you cram for it. I don't know what the verb cram means. Here's what it means. It means, in academic parlance, vocabulary, it means that when you have a test, you at the very last minute study for it. Last minute. So you don't put the time in and you just try to, maybe a few minutes before the test or a few hours before the test, you take, who knows, 10, 15 minutes and just see if you can cram in a bunch of information and then hope you remember it during the test. That's called cramming. Okay? It's actually not a great strategy for being a strong student. We've talked about what the strategy is. I've told you what things good students do on a regular basis, including triple R. And that's what I'm recommending that you do on this. Now, if you go, I didn't know what was on the test, on Friday after you bombed it, well, you won't be able to say that. That will not be an excuse, because I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to be on the test, like I always do. So I'm going to tell you exactly what's on the test. Further good news, okay? Further good news. You do not have any homework Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Friday's the test. You don't have any homework except to triple R. That's it. Triple R, 10, 15 minutes each night. Maybe in class you'll get a little opportunity to triple R, maybe with someone, with a study partner, perhaps. We'll see how things work out. And Mr. Gilbert can work that out for you if he so chooses. So anyway, I'm going to try to help you get an A or B. So do your part, okay? So anyway, the test will include, I'm telling you right now. So you already have, Mr. Gilbert's talked to you about this at the beginning of the period, you already have a packet of lesson summaries. So from which the test is going to be on. So you've got your packet of lesson summaries. So you want to have it out and available. You've got a white sheet. We may use that white sheet. You put your homework already in your lesson planner. Review tonight. What's tonight? Review lesson summary 1 through 4 tonight. 1 through 4. Triple R, LS 1 through 4. Lesson summary 1 through 4 tonight. So, besides the lesson summaries, Psalm 139 is going to be on the test. Now, I've put that on 4 or 5 weeks worth of tests. Every week you have Psalm 139, 13, and 14, or most weeks. Some of you still haven't even hardly learned it. And you just miss 2 points every test, -2. And then you don't know what the meaning is, -1 more. And that's already, 8% or 7% of your grade. So you're already down to a 93. And you're probably going to fall into a minimum. I shouldn't say minimum. You're going to fall into the B category. That's about the best you can do. So, I'm telling you, Psalm 139, 13 and 14. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, me. And my soul knows it very well. I know it, that you designed me really well. So anyway, Psalm 139, 13 and 14. So those of you that have learned it and you just keep reviewing it, piece of cake, good news for you. Those of you that haven't learned it yet, at least you know it's on the test. Okay? So you know. Hey, more good news. Hey, in the early morning sky and in the evening sky, I'm still offering this. It's on the table. You can't get it more than once. But I'm offering you these early morning, 6 a.m.ish. Ooh, that is early. 6 a.m.ish objects in the sky that are beauteous. So I don't want you to miss them. Not many of you have looked and turned the points in, at least anyway. So this is worth 5 points, easy peasy. Write on a sheet of paper or a white sheet that you can take and put in your docket or your notebook or wherever, your journal. Have it with you. And name, date, period, upper right-hand corner, and then write, I saw in the morning, you have a beautiful constellation. Remember, a constellation is a group of stars that looks like a familiar object on Earth. Look at that, it looks like a dinosaur. Now, I don't know of any dinosaur constellations, but I suppose you could be out looking at a star pattern and go, it looks like a stegosaurus, or, Diplodocus, or whatever. Anyway, that's how constellations have gotten their name. So the beautiful constellation that's available in the early morning sky at 6 a.m., what is it? Orion. And Orion, you're looking at it right now. You're seeing a beautiful picture of it. And I'm writing down the minute mark. So Orion has a top star called Betelgeuse. It's named by Arab astronomers. And then Rigel at the bottom. Betelgeuse, Rigel. Betelgeuse is kind of a reddish star. Rigel is bluish. So, and that gives you an idea of their temperature. So, and then there are 3 belt stars. There's actually more stars than that. Originally, the ancients thought Orion looked like a hunter with a bow. So, and I think you're seeing that right now in the photo that you're seeing of Orion. Kind of connecting the dots, sort of. Now you have to use your imagination with constellations. But when we look for constellations, we can't see all the stars that the ancients saw because of light pollution. There's too much light in the Phoenix area. So now if you were up at Pine Top, or you were in Flagstaff where there's not a lot of light pollution, or away from any city lights, you'd really see a lot more of the stars that the ancients imagined in Orion the Hunter. I think it looks like a cross. So top dot, bottom dot, and then a cross, 3 stars that kind of make a cross. See this? Top star, bottom star, Betelgeuse, Rigel, boop, and then the 3 cross stars. Oh yeah. So I think it looks like a cross. And then these 3 stars point actually down to the brightest star we can see, Sirius. That's Sirius. There's no brighter star that we can see from Earth. It doesn't mean it's the brightest star, but because of how far away it is and the light that it puts out, it looks to be the brightest star to us here on Earth. Do you get there? Are a lot of them that are bigger and brighter, but they're further away, so they don't look as bright. So anyway, Sirius. So that's 5 points. So you write on your white sheet, I saw Orion, and I saw Sirius. And then in the east, you can see Venus. It's kind of cool. Venus is the brightest object we can see in the night sky. Venus. So you've got Sirius, the brightest star we can see, but Venus outshines Sirius. Why? Venus is a planet, and Venus is much closer. I can't remember the distance Sirius is away. I'm going to look. But it's, I think, many trillions of miles away. So Venus is much, much, much closer. Millions of miles away. So that's why Venus looks so bright. So in the morning, 5 points. I saw Orion, I saw Sirius, I saw Venus. In the evening, you have Mars in the east, high in the east, the planet Mars, 3 planets in the evening. What time? 7 p.m.-ish? 7 p.m.? 8 p.m.? Probably 7 would be best. So you've got Mars, and then you have the ever drawing closer Saturn drawing closer to Jupiter. So that's going to be another 5 points. So on that white sheet, I saw Mars and I saw Jupiter and Saturn. Remember, they're closing on each other. And on December 21st, they'll be as close as they've been in 400 years. Wow! That's why it's called the Great Conjunction. Conjoin, come together. They're not going to actually touch, but as close as they ever get. 400 years. Wow! Think of that. So when would that be 400 years ago? 1620. Wow. Galileo was alive then, looking at stuff in the night sky. Isn't that amazing? During the Renaissance. Woo! So it's a big deal. So I hope you'll look for it now and get some points now. And then I hope over Christmas break on December 21st, you might put it in your lesson planner calendar schedule to look for it on the 21st and tell somebody, hey, it's a great conjunction. Saturn and Jupiter as close as they've been in 400 years. Woohoo! It's amazing. So, I'll be looking at it. So, but I look at it many nights, every week. So, you are a little bit crazy, Mr. C. No, I'm just a science teacher, and I'm really curious about all of that. And that's why I teach science. So anyway, now here's the deal. More good news. So 5 points, 5 points. But if you do both, if you get both of them and turn it in, say, in the next probably 4 weeks, turn it in the next 4 weeks, I'll give you 15 points for the twofer. Wow. Now, if you haven't done either one, 15 out of 15. That's like a quiz score, perfect quiz score. Will that help your average? Oh, yeah, sure. So anyway, big deal. So go for it, those night observations. So should be cool, right? Okie doke. Now, next. You've got this packet now, okay? And I want to show you a bunch of things. Here's what I want you to know on LS1. See that? First of all, cross off down there on the right in the bottom box. Cross it off. You don't have to know that. See that? Cross it off. You don't need to know it. Now, what is this called? This lesson summary is called Discovering Cells. Okay? Now, haven't given you a break yet, so I'm going to do that right now with Mr. Gilbert. And my guess is you all have got LS 1 to 4 now with his help. But if you haven't, here's a little bit of time because he's got extra copies of LS 1 to 4. So I'll turn it over to him for just a few minutes, and then back I come on LS 1, and we'll at least get LS 1 and 2 done. All right, go for it. All right, here I am, LS1. So we've got to hustle. Okay, up in the top box, see what it says? The bold print sentence, cells are the basic unit of structure and function in living things. So highlight that. Highlighter, black pen, whatever you choose. See that? So I'm going to ask you about that. See all that I highlighted? See that? So, and then it goes on to say that every organism is made up of one or many cells. So highlight all that I highlighted and review it. Organisms are made up of one or more cells. Okay? And each cell carries out the basic functions, and here's what they are, and you'll want to highlight those over on the right side. They enable a living thing to live, grow, and reproduce. See that? Highlight those. They let a living thing live, grow, and reproduce. Alrighty? So that's what cells do. Okay, the middle box is cell theory. Now you don't need to know this, but first, have a look at that. That's the number of estimated cells in a human, in an adult human body. How many? 10 to the 12th. What is that? 30 trillion cells. That would be a good bonus question, wouldn't it? Approximately how many cells are in an adult human body? 10 to the 12th. 30 trillion cells. Holy cow. You've got that many cells in your body? Well, you've got trillions, not the 30 yet, but you're growing. They're dividing and dividing and dividing. Okay, middle box. I'm going to ask you to write at least 2 of the 3 parts of cell theory. See, I highlighted all of them. Middle box, see, they're highlighted. All living things are composed of cells. Cells are the basic unit of structure and function in living things. And all cells are produced from other cells. That's cell theory. So I'm going to require you to know, and I'm writing it down right now, at least 2 of 3. So on Friday when I ask you, hey, write 2 of the 3 parts of cell theory. So down it goes. Now there'll be a couple of bonus point opportunities. One bonus point opportunity will be, and you'll only be able to get 1 bonus point. One of them will be write down all 3 parts of cell theory. Okay, middle box. You good on that? All right, bottom box, microscopes. How do microscopes work? Oh no, Mr. C, I remember we went over about 10 different parts. Do you remember? From eyepiece to base. Eyepiece, arm, remember these? Stage, rough focusing knob, fine focusing knob. Okay, diaphragm, darkener. Okay, what parts are you going to ask us? I'm not going to ask you those parts. Oh, good news. Remember, I'm not going to ask you a lot of stuff, a lot of the detail, because, you'll learn it in high school biology. So, anyway, but here's what I do want you to know. See what it says down below? You're going to highlight what I've highlighted. Some microscopes focus light through lenses to reproduce or produce a magnified image. And some microscopes use beams of electrons. And they're called electron microscopes. So I'll leave that up there for you to highlight. So microscopes use either lenses or beams of electrons. The beams of electron microscopes magnify millions of times, or can. Light microscopes, using convex lenses like that, draw a convex lens down below, that shape. Draw a convex lens. They're magnification lenses. They're in microscopes. Light microscopes have two of them that work together. That's why you call it a compound microscope. But I'm not going to ask you that. But I do want you to know convex lens. And what's their shape? Show me on your hands right now, Mr. Gilbert, to see you. Show me the shape of a convex lens with both of your hands. Well, like that. That shape. And they magnify light. Okay? I just crossed off compound microscope. You don't need to know that. Okay? And see down below where I crossed off the parts of a microscope down below? What's the only part of the light microscope I want you to know? Convex lens. Where are they? In the eyepiece and the objective lens, but I'm not going to ask you that. But do you remember that? Shake your head if you do. Yeah. Eyepiece and the objective lens. Okay, so when we break again, if you miss something, Mr. Gilbert will help you with that. Okay? And your neighbors can be available to help you. Okay, not too bad, huh? On LS1, not too bad. LS2 now. LS2. Okay, looking inside cells, these are just parts of a cell. Okay, now I went over these parts, so you're going to highlight these. First, human and animal cells have these parts. Do you recall these three parts? The outside border, what is it called? The cell membrane. That's right, the cell membrane. And then there's the gel-like substance inside that smaller parts, organelles, float around in. So membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus. Membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus. Now we've gone over these a bunch. So that's a human and animal cell. Down below, draw a human or animal cell. There it is. Membrane, the outside part that lets some things in and doesn't let other things in. The nucleus, where the chromosomes are, the DNA. And the cytoplasm, the liquidy part that the organelles are in. And you want to title that human or animal cell. That's the design of your cells that God designed. By the way, they're so complex they could have never formed by themselves. If you're a scientist and you say, you know, I think cells form by themselves, you're kidding yourself. There is no way. You just don't want to believe in a God, that's all. Because they're so complicated. And then you have there it is. I can do this. Then you have on the other side plant cells. So draw a plant cell down below. You've already drawn an animal or a human cell, right? So draw these down below. And you know a plant cell has two parts that a human or animal cell doesn't have, and you can see what they are. Does a plant cell have a membrane? Yes or no? Yes. Does a plant cell have a nucleus? Yes. Does a plant cell have cytoplasm? Yes. What two parts does a plant cell have that a human animal cell doesn't? A thick cell wall. It's got a thick cell wall, and it's got those chloroplasts that have chlorophyll in them so they can produce energy on their own from sunlight. So get those down below. Are you doing your part? I'm going to ask you all of this. So probably either have you draw a plant and an animal cell and label their parts. That's a lot of parts. What is that? 8 points right there, huh? 8 points. So you probably want to get those down, huh? Okay. And then the other thing that I want you to know is this. Just over here, I want you to highlight unicellular and multicellular. See that? Unicellular. In a unicellular organism, living thing, all of the functions of the cell are carried out by one cell. In a multi means many, multicellular organisms, such as yourself, organisms, living thing, right? In a multicellular living thing, animals, humans, the jobs of a cell are carried out by many cells. In your case, trillions of cells. So each cell in a multicellular organism, like a plant or an animal or a human, carries out different functions. Cross off the right lower box. Cross it off. You don't need to know the lower right box. Part of the good news, I'm crossing out a lot of stuff. Okay? Now that's LS2, and tomorrow I guarantee we'll get 4 or 5 lesson summaries reviewed. Your homework tonight has changed now. It's review LS1 and 2, plus Psalm 139, 13 and 14. So go over that and everything on LS1 and 2 that we went over. Don't forget to look for the objects in the early morning sky at 6 a.m. and in the evening sky about 13 hours later, about 7 p.m. 15 points on the table. Do you want them? You want to help your average? How's your average? Could your average use, your science average, in the grade book, use a boost? Probably. Some of you would say that, yeah? Okay. All right, you know what your homework is? You know exactly what your homework is. Okay? And we've got 3 more days and nights. You're going to be in great shape. You should get an A or B. Isn't that cool? That an A or B is in your reach on Friday's test. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gilbert. And there may be enough time for him to allow 8 of you to head back to the microscopes and do one more microscopic object and make a drawing of it and put it in your journal. And for the rest of you to review what we just went over. My guess is you might have, 5 to 7 minutes left. So it'll be up to Mr. Gilbert. He'll make that call. So thank you, Mr. Gilbert. You're on. Through, Laura. Yeah. You want to show us something after dinner? So anyway, I think we're still on.
Still on for